Hi, Amit. Hello.
Manju, hi.
Hi, how are you?
How are
Well,
you?
how are you doing? This is the long Eid weekend, so I'm home today.
Yes. So Eid Mubarak.
Eid Mubarak to you too. Well,
Yeah.
how's it in India? Is it better now? Is Delhi better? Are you coping up better indoors? Is it better?
I think we are I would say 70% back to
Okay.
some kind of old normalcy.
Okay.
But I don't think people have really started to shop like earlier,
Yeah.
which is going to take some time, at least for luxury products. But
Absolutely.
otherwise, it's
Yeah.
been okay.
Dubai
How are
is
things back there?
Dubai is actually good. 2.5 months. We started work like going to office for the last 2.5 months, so it's very quite
Yeah.
normal. But yeah, we're getting used to masks, and I think people are now designing masks, which is I think quite
True.
interesting. Yes.
Yeah.
So I've seen your work. I follow you on Instagram. It's been a while,
Thank you.
and the fact that Deepika did wear your creation to my event,
Yes, for the yes.
launch, lovely. In fact, the outfits came to my house here. So because we were sorting out the hotel and all of that. So yeah.
Okay.
So tell me about that. We'll start with that first. That particular outfit that you designed for her, and then we'll move on to
Yeah.
many things. Yeah.
I mean, it was of course a spectacular event. I
Mm,
mean, the stylist was in touch with us, and I
yeah.
did want to do something very spectacular and also very iconic with the feeling of what I always felt Deepika was or is.
Yeah.
Like the entire idea of the dress was designed with the idea of of a dandelion, because I thought that that was probably the most effortless of blooming things, which just travels with air and always is got a reminiscence of lightness, beauty. So that's the idea that we had to do the piece for her, and I think yeah, pretty much that, and I think she loved the outfit.
Yes, it
Yeah.
was spectacular.
So
It's so beautiful, and the fact that you do have a lot of references of flowers, uh,
yes,
nature, leaves, even butterfly. I mean, insects. So tell me about
yeah,
that. It's quite unique because even in your designs, you've also portrayed that first. The inspiration
yes.
where it takes off from. So, are you an avid nature lover? Somebody who cultivates a lot of flowers? I mean, that. I mean, I haven't met you, so I would imagine you to be that way.
Honestly, since I was really young and I had a keen eye for science,
Hmm.
I used to love biology and drawing all the diagrams of frogs and
Oh,
insects and
okay.
everything during the growing up years was
Yeah.
really something really fascinating for me. So I think somewhere that trickled down to a lot of biomimicry that we do as a brand in the collections, like all our
Mhm.
details, surfaces, textiles. They are heavily inspired by the architecture of nature.
Mhm.
And yes, I don't think it's just a superficial understanding of the beauty, but also probably understanding how the skeletal form of an insect is, or how the tentacles of a petal grow. And I think those inferences are very crucial and important for our design development.
Okay, but do you have a particular interest in flowers? Because it looks like,
In flower,
yeah,
in flowers,
yeah.
yes, I think so. I mean, I wouldn't say I go for the traditional beautiful roses. I'm not that kind of person, but I do like an abstract flower. I do like sometimes uh, a cross mutation between two flowers. So I do think that flowers fascinate me a lot.
Okay. Of course, design is a lot of things, and the fact that you did mention about the architecture of design, right? It's
Yeah.
very similar to. I mean, the fact that art has no limits, art has no boundaries, and what you see people wearing is a culmination of various stimuli. Uh,
Yes.
Tell me about your growing up years. You did sketch on walls and all, is what I've read.
True.
Tell me about your
Yes.
childhood. How rich was it in art and design?
Actually, it wasn't rich at all, to be very honest. I am raised in a very normal middle class background from the 80s. I grew up in Bombay. My father was and still is the bread earner of the family, and I don't think I saw a lot of him in my growing up years.
Mhm.
But he is an engineer, so growing up with his blueprints or seeing how he would construct pipelines and electrical objects was something really fascinating for my growing up years. But as a parent, he's been extremely open to whatever his children wanted to do, and I think he always encouraged the fact that I loved to draw on the walls,
Mhm.
unlike other parents where people get a little
Yeah.
um, not so happy with children. I mean, back in the 80s, where
Yeah.
you draw on the walls, but he would come and mark me on my drawings
Oh, really?
on a 10. Yeah, and I think that he never let me not be who I wanted to be.
Mhm.
And I think that, like I said, I mean, my mother always wanted me to pursue the medical field. So I think somewhere the culmination of both of these very abstract ideas germinated an interesting concept, which is what I think I'm a product of. I do love linearity in the clothes and the ideas of form and structure, but also at the same time, like I said, I'm heavily influenced by the natural world around me.
Excuse me. Of course. And how does art come into your life in such a professional manner that you choose to take it up as a profession?
Um, I don't know. You'd find it a little strange and funny, but there was never an idea of anything alternative in my life. I never thought that I could be anyone else.
Mhm.
I don't want to boast about myself, but I was an academic topper throughout
Oh,
my growing up years. I topped both my board exams, all of Maharashtra,
okay.
and yeah. But I always knew that my heart lies in creating clothes, right from the time when I was 8 to 9 years of age. So
Wow.
everything that, yeah, I pushed myself towards or I wanted to do was to go to NIFT and probably take up fashion as a career option.
Wow.
And I'm talking the 80s, where
Yes.
uh, coming from a middle class background and then
It
choosing
wasn't the best.
fashion as a profession,
Yeah.
yeah, was
Wasn't the coolest
and a man had to be, yeah, back in the day the man had to be the bread earner.
Yes.
So my mom wasn't too excited about me taking up this as a profession, but yeah, I think she just feels happy now.
Okay. So when you said that you were about 7 to 8 years old when you decided that this is what you'd want to do, how did that reflect
Yeah.
what you wore? Was it, did you also choose your clothes in a certain way that you would, put it together? Was it that, or was it scribbling on the back of your notebooks about what you would want? What was it? How did it manifest then?
So very honestly, I wasn't really a scribbler in during my academics because like I said, I was
A good.
really a good boy in school. But I think I drew a lot
Mhm.
in my free time, and I think that in terms of clothing, of course, Bollywood
Yeah.
was a big influence in the growing up years
The
for me,
90s?
and I think yeah, or even like the late 80s, I would say, like seeing a Rekha or a Shabana Azmi in their beautiful silks was is still a
Yeah.
very indelible.
Timeless.
It's timeless for me. And I think that is how my journey kind of started. And I think slowly, probably going to the Raddi markets in Bombay and probably picking up an old W, or opening up an old W and probably smelling through a perfume page. And I still remember that. Back in the day, there used to be like a little sachet with a perfume, and
Yeah.
if I would find a magazine which had the sachet intact, that would really
That
be
would have been a fine.
yeah, it used to be quite a fine. And I remember I had to travel all the way till Fort, till town to actually pick up these magazines. And I think that's how my interest kind of grew. And I definitely knew this was the
What
only, yeah, road and path I wanted to take in my life.
was there any actress that you liked particularly at that particular point that you would want
Yeah,
to design for when you were growing up?
it has to be Rekha.
Uh,
I think there's one particular scene where she kind of waits for Amitabh Bachchan at the airport in the movie Silsila,
yeah.
and I think that is probably a memory I'd like to die with.
Oh, yeah, sure. Anyway, all of those films, they have
Yes,
qualities that they choose, not just that particular film, but literally every Yash Raj film, woman
true.
has some, because I am a sari wearer. So if I look at it,
Yeah,
every
yes,
sari is a piece of art. It's beautiful.
True. Exactly.
Forms and the landscape. I think everything became like a language in itself. This whole
True.
it is, and the fact that to give sari a certain kind of a international, like a gownish look,
True.
elevated to a certain space. I'm sure a lot of Indian designers have done it. I'm sure a lot of royalty in India has also carried the sari in a
Exactly.
way. Any people that you would, look at when you think of course, you mentioned Rekha, but outside the film industry, if you look at people who,
I don't really very easily get influenced uh, by people, to be very honest. Or I think a conversation, or probably sometimes when I end up reading a few lines of poetry, is something that really sparks my inspiration.
Mhm.
But I wouldn't say that I just look at clothes and be inspired to make clothes.
Mhm.
So I wouldn't say that I've had a huge, there's been anyone who's had a
Mhm.
huge impact on how I make the clothes. And that's why also there's a certain level of abstraction in the clothes, because there's a sense of fantasy. I also dwell very heavily on the new age sci-fi or the future,
Yes.
and I think that that for me doesn't really, it's never really allowed me to have a particular idea of a woman
Mhm.
or a wearer. To be very honest, I just feel that every person or it has so many beautiful sides to them, and I think life needs to be an exploration of the million aspects that make you, and that's what the clothes that I make also speak about.
Okay, tell me about sustainability and the fact that it is a very pertinent issue, and today all the more.
Yes.
And how does that marry with fashion? And how does the clientele take to that kind of a amalgamation? Is it something easier to do, or is it something that I'm sure it is a lot of work. There is a lot there.
Yes. Yeah.
uh, if you can just give me some examples of work that you've done and the kind of things that you put together so people will know better
Hmm.
about your design.
For me, honestly, Manju, when I speak of sustainability, it also really defines. I mean, of course, sustainability is a huge topic.
Yeah,
I think it's a very widely,
yeah, and
unfortunately, trending topic more than anything else. But I also feel that sustainability as an idea goes beyond the fact that you have to revive, at least for me, revive heritage. I feel that, of course, is a very important aspect, but also about contemporizing a traditional technique so that it is relevant for the future, for me, is an equally important aspect of sustainability.
right.
I mean, at the brand, we consciously employ a not such a skilled craftsman,
Mm.
so that that craftsman can be trained to explore an alternative material and, of course, grow in that area of work. So a
Right.
lot of our embroiderers actually embroider with like with the same techniques of embroidery, but also we employ materials like recycled plastic or
Yeah.
discarded yarns, metallic, everything that actually comes from an industrial waste.
Yeah.
And I mean, visually, it has the impact of what couture needs to be, but
Mhm.
also we push the limits of creativity by also empowering the craftsmen by making them learn a new craft
Mm.
with their own skill set. So for me, that has been a very important topic of sustainability. We've, of course, as a brand, done a lot of different ideas of sustainability. We've recycled discarded patola saris,
Mhm.
Banarsi saris. That's been one or two huge collections. We keep doing capsules of that
Mhm.
every year. Then besides that, there has been recycling of polythene bags to create textiles that are from discarded waste.
Mhm.
We've done a lot with bindi leftovers.
Tell me about
So when
that.
a bindi, yeah. So basically, I know you'd be very fascinated with that. I thought so. So basically, the stick-on bindi, once it's cut from a sheet,
Yeah.
there is the negative that gets discarded.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So we created a huge range of textiles just with those negative dumps, because it's actually a massive landfill in the country.
Really?
Uh, yeah, because I mean, don't think 95% of the women in the country
No,
draw their bindi. I mean, they just stick it on.
I don't. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I could figure. So, so we did the huge range of textiles just coming from that. I
Mhm.
mean, constantly plastic has been a material that keeps coming back, or polymer keeps coming back in our clothes as a sustainable factor. So I think for me, sustainability is also understanding what byproducts can come from the industry and
Right.
how modern craftsmanship, along with traditional ideas of embellishment, can bring in a new wave of creativity.
Okay, but if you just for understanding, if you have
Yeah,
incorporated plastic and reuse plastic in this manner in your outfit,
yeah,
doesn't it not end? So it plastic lives on in another form is also what it.
yes,
But
yeah.
does it, is it discardable or is it something that can be? I mean, again,
Okay. So, so we've had a very intense conversation in the team,
yeah,
and regarding the same question that you proposed. So basically, in an alternative world, this whole plastic would have directly ended up in a landfill.
yes,
My intention of using an industrial waste such as a polymer or a plastic is based, and actually using it to create couture is because couture is not, it doesn't have a shelf life of 2 days.
hmm,
A couture outfit in your wardrobe would pass on generations.
yes,
So
okay,
overall, basically you are increasing the shelf life
hmm,
of something that could have ended up directly.
okay, yeah,
And that shelf life could, and considering it's a product a lot of people call futuristic, it also kind of is something that can be handed over to the next generation or the generation post that.
right,
So I feel that as a creative individual, my idea of using alternative materials is also really pushing their shelf life so that they don't immediately end up in a landfill.
okay, okay. Right. So okay, that's fair enough. Yeah, you're talking about it in another avatar. The fact that it's more,
Yeah.
and yeah, there's more aesthetics and beauty to it. Uh, okay, you're a traveler as well, and right now,
Yes.
well, are you couch surfing now because because of the
Oh
current?
my God, I can't even take it. I really feel like someone's tied my hands and feet, and I
Yeah,
just can't, I'm not able to see the world. But yeah, yeah, I think it's just my mind that's traveling a lot, but not my physical body.
yeah.
Yeah, I do love to travel a lot, but unfortunately, it hasn't been
So
a
what? Where
very
do
good
you
year for
travel?
travel.
Does it do you soak in that country or that inspiration? Does it then translate into your design in some form? I'm sure it does with all artists.
Yes, it does. Subconsciously, yes, I do not travel with the intention to just soak in the inspiration
Yes,
because I think that would be too
very
greedy,
forced. Yes.
and yeah, very forced. I mean, wherever I like to go, and if it inspires me, it just ends up into the collection. If it doesn't, I've just had a good holiday.
So where do you
That's
usually
all right.
go? Is there a new
I
place?
love I love Asia. I think that I mean, most of my travel is mostly in Asia. I've, of course, intensively traveled to Europe and America, but I just feel that um, I really find home
Yeah.
in Asia. So, yeah,
So which countries in
I
Asia?
think
Apart from India.
I've practically traveled
Everywhere.
everywhere. So, yeah, but I mean, I do love Japan a lot.
Yeah.
I feel that there's a lot of culture,
Mm.
there's a lot of things to be inspired from.
Mm.
And the other place that I really like going is Thailand, because I feel that there is a sense of freedom there, and I always find coming back home to a place like that.
Do you see the places that you go to, especially different parts of India as well as Asia, have a certain color palette that naturally is there naturally in that particular country, which you sort of then identify with? Is it like that? Because
I don't think my eye sees color too well,
okay.
though strangely the clothes have a lot of color.
Mhm.
I do feel that I am more concentrated on the little details that make something rather than
Yeah.
a flash of color. So yeah, I mean, Japan, it's impossible to miss the color. It's
Yeah.
just there everywhere. So
Yeah.
yeah.
What about the Middle East? Have you? I'm sure you've traveled to Dubai and different parts of the world. So,
I've actually been to Dubai a lot of times, and I've traveled to Kuwait,
mhm.
uh,
So how do you
and
see Middle
that's
Eastern, sensibility, if I can put it in a broad way, in terms of design and aesthetics and tell me more.
I I don't know whether you'd know, but the brand started with the Middle East. I
Hmm.
mean, we still 50% of the business of the brand comes from
Middle East.
only retailing in the Middle East.
Hmm.
I actually love the fact that I don't know so much about Dubai, to be very honest, because I think that Dubai is still, I think, a mix of a lot of things. It's a
Yes.
cosmopolitan,
Yes.
but I feel that I have intensively enjoyed dressing up women in Kuwait.
Mhm.
I think it's a pleasure because they are so vivid
Yes.
with their choices of clothes that it just allows me to be the creative individual that I want
Hmm.
to be. And even actually for that Abu Dhabi or a
Yes.
lot of places actually have given me so much support with believing in a completely new aesthetic. Because when I used to take the collection 10 years ago, I mean, in India, they would look at the piece and say that this can be hung beautifully on a wall, but I'm not
Yes.
sure whether I can wear it.
Hmm.
Yeah, and I mean, I show the collections in Paris, and the buyers come
Hmm.
uh, to meet me in Paris. And since the first collection, I think the Middle East has really taken a liking to the alternative aesthetic, and I think it only helped me grow the brand. And we still retail massively the second brand. We
Hmm.
have another label called Amit. So we retail to literally, I mean, I don't know, like 50, 60 stores throughout the Middle East.
In Dubai,
So
any particular store that you retail?
Dubai, I used to sell a lot through Sauce.
Okay.
Sauce used to stock
Mm-hmm.
probably the entire collection, but I think Sauce also kind of went down
Mm-hmm.
2 years ago. I think they shut a few stores, and I was with Harvey Nichols, I think, in Dubai,
Okay.
and there's another store I forgot, but I think unfortunately Dubai hasn't been uh, very and also I think a lot of Indians settled in Dubai started to like wear the brand. So I think a lot of Indian, I mean, stores that stock Indian brands have
Yeah.
started stocking us. Like I think there's one called Rack, the Rack that stocks
Okay.
us, and
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, there are a few more.
Okay. Okay. What about, so a lot of selling today is also online. An actual store
Yes,
is not really needed. So there isn't much,
true.
you really need space that way. How's
Yeah,
that keeping up today? Because in the pandemic, I'm sure with so many businesses, you know,
true.
trying to sustain themselves, have also gone
Yeah.
largely online and digital. How's the business been that way?
Uh, I mean, Touchwood, because we also a very exclusive brand, so a lot of our sales also happen through online. Like we don't have an online site,
Yeah.
but through the Instagram
Yes.
or any of the social media really helps us in retail. But I think the first week of September is when we will be launching our e-com.
Okay.
So I
Okay.
thought that this was finally the time to,
Great.
uh, yeah.
Yeah.
We
September.
also got some feeds. Yeah,
Okay. Tell me about the fact that now let's talk about Bollywood and the actresses that you've dressed up, and
yeah.
you can name them and then tell me about what is unique to them that made you design a particular outfit for them in that particular way. Was that a part of of that personality or an occasion that they were going to, or was it what
Yeah.
that prompted you to design probably for a Karina, a Shilpa?
Hmm.
Tell me about each of them, and is that a personality trait that you picked up, or the place that they're going to? What was it?
So okay, let's start with the last
Okay.
big iconic one, which was Karina
Yes.
for the grand finale.
Yeah.
Firstly, I I just should tell. I mean, I'm sure you've met with her, but I should tell you about my impression of what I had when I first met her. I thought that she's such an easygoing and warm, easygoing, non-made up person that it really actually shocked me because I think the impressions that you sometimes get of actors
Mm.
via other people and like you know sometimes is very different from what they are actually
Right.
as individuals. Um, I I with Karina definitely I wanted to put her in a color
Mm-hmm.
which she hasn't done before. I
Mm-hmm.
think the entire idea was the idea of color.
Mm-hmm.
So we chose a color which is as unique and I think not really very openly accepted in India is the emerald,
Yeah.
like a green.
Yeah.
So by the way, we get a lot of love from the Middle East because of us promoting the color. Like emerald has actually become the brand's color.
Yeah.
So she was also honestly a little skeptical initially of
Mm-hmm.
trying a color that she hasn't worn before, and also the choice of outfit. I mean, definitely, I didn't want to take any attention away from her neck and face because I
Mm.
think that is what makes her a goddess.
Yes.
Uh, and also, I wanted to give her something which is an amalgamation of a fluid structure with like almost like a fluid structure, which has
Mm-hmm.
strength, which shows this daunting personality that she is,
Yeah.
but also the beautiful undertones of softness. And I think that is what probably culminated into the outfit.
Okay.
I mean, with the previous one, Kiara walked for us for
Yes.
Couture Week. Kiara is a fun, young, bubbly new girl on the block,
Yeah.
and I thought that probably a very sexy neckline with a very traditional color would do a great juxtapositioning of what a modern lehenga could be. A lot of
Yeah.
young girls would associate with what she would wear.
Yeah.
So that was Kiara, and Shilpa has always been
Yeah.
an iconic brand ambassador
Yeah.
for ambassadors for the brand. Yeah, she's spectacular. I have no words words for her. Uh, yeah, she's everything that is what makes a goddess. She has a goddess-like body.
Yes.
Has an effortless way of making you comfortable immediately,
Mm.
despite of her persona. And yeah, I think and she's the queen of saris, so
Yes. Yes.
nobody can carry a drape as
And
well as
yes.
Shilpa does.
Yes.
Yeah.
You also watch a lot of films?
Sorry, I lost
You
you.
watch a lot of films? Cinema. Do you
I
watch?
do. I do. Yes.
What was the recent one that you watched?
Last night actually wasn't a. I mean, if you would want to know of a movie, I can't remember the last Hindi movie honestly that I have seen
Okay.
for some time because I think that if you also realize that Bollywood's going through a little bit of a like Hindi movies are going through a little bit of a change.
Yes. Yes.
I feel that the era of smaller but more iconic movies have kind of coming back, and with the lockdown, I think
Mm-hmm.
everything's kind of moved to Netflix.
Yeah.
So I honestly can't remember the last
Okay.
interesting
No, I
Hindi movie
asked
that I have seen.
you the question that I actually wanted to ask was, do you then observe the outfits in the films? Is that the first thing that you see it, or you just watch the film?
No, like I said, I'm not really inspired by clothes
Okay.
that much. So
Story and
I'm
the
not really, yeah. Like when I watch a movie, I think I just watch.
watch the movie. Okay.
Uh,
Do you
yeah,
write? Do you write as well? Do you write
I
for?
do. Yeah,
Okay.
yes.
Anything you can recite for us? 4 lines, if you remember.
Really, uh, I mean, I do like to mix nature with uh, a lot of what I write. So, mm, not really. I'm not that spontaneous, but I could send you a few lines if
Okay, please
that's
do. Yeah, it'll be nice to see that as well. So
yeah.
hoping to meet you in Dubai whenever you're here. I think my time is up.
I'd love.
Thank you. Lovely speaking to you,
Lovely speaking to you too.
and I will ask you some questions on WhatsApp. I'll probably send you some more questions. Lovely speaking.
Okay,
To you.
great.
I didn't know about the bindi, so that's I'm going to read that up. That'll be very
Of course.
yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. Take care. Hope to see you soon. Take care.